Alright, everybody. People have been asking me when I'm going to start doing this. I've been talking about it for a little while, trying to line up people to get in to interview. I guess today's as good a day as any. It's April 16th. I'm sitting outside on the deck in our new house, and this is something I've been really excited about for a really long time. Let's start it. This is Eric's Hotbox. Alright. The idea for this is that I was hoping to interview people about things they're passionate about and get them to talk about it in a way that nobody else really can. I'm really interested in what other people are interested in, and I think that they have an ability to describe it in a way that's interesting and unique to everybody else that may not know anything about it and can help you become interested in something you never would have thought about before. Somebody decided to just start doing hammering in the backyard, so that may be some background noise. Now, it's tough, I understand, to convince people to come in here and trust me to interview them when a lot of the times they don't know me that well, or if they do, they don't want me to ask in something they might not be comfortable answering. Now, my idea is I'm going to try and do this with just myself to give people a feel for what they might have to expect on this. It's really hard to ask people to come in here blind and not have any idea what they're walking into. So I'm going to do my best. This is just me talking about something I'm passionate about. Easy guess, we're talking about Batman. Now, most common question I get from people about Batman is, which is your favorite Batman? And a lot of people only associate Batman with what they see in the movies because of all the recent popularity. I mean, I get it, they sell, they're really cool, and I love the movies. Don't get me wrong, they add a lot to the Batman universe. But by far, I think, in my mind, the Batman that represents most of the emotional connections that I have with the character, the reason that I think he's so cool, the reason that I think he's such a badass, the best superhero, in my opinion, is something that a lot of us grew up with, which was Batman the Animated Series. Now, there's a couple reasons why. Movies are now becoming a very, very particular representation of what one person wants Batman to be. Because technology is so advanced, they need to get the details on the suit. They need to get the details on the car. Everybody needs to be just so. Costumes are so intricate, makeup, detail, computer generation, which I don't entirely disagree with in a superhero movie because it's already a superhero movie. But it's such a vehicle for one specific person's notion of what Batman's going to be, which makes it a lot easier to critique. The reason why I feel like the best representation of Batman and the one that lives the clearest in people's heads is the animated series is because it's animated, your imagination gets to fill in all of the details that animation has to leave out. The little sounds, this is super nerdy, but sounds like what the grapple makes when it shoots out of the thing. That lives in my head in a very particular spot, and when I read comic books and when I watch the cartoons, you can make those sounds sound exactly how you want them, and Batman becomes the most relatable. When you get to fill in as many details as you want and don't leave it up to somebody else, that's when it's the best. So, there you go, Batman the Animated Series. Especially also because Mark Hamill's edition of the Joker throughout that series is the best edition of the Joker. Heath Ledger was great, and I think Jack Nicholson was cool too. They were both unique in their own ways. I feel like Heath really did bring it down to a personal level. He had a lot of quirky tics and things. I didn't like the laugh as much as I enjoyed Hamill's. Still great. Now, Batman's nothing without villains. Next question, who's your favorite Batman villain and why? Okay, so I just finished talking about the Joker. The Joker is the clown prince of crime in Gotham. He's psychotic, he's unpredictable, he will kill anyone for any reason at any time, but he's not my favorite villain in the Batman universe. My favorite villain is Two-Face. Mostly because he represents the severity of Batman's character. All of Batman's villains are an antithesis to one aspect of his character in the comics and the movies. So the Joker is insane, Batman is incredibly reasoned. Two-Face represents the duality of character, whereas Batman goes from Bruce Wayne, who's Mr. Billionaire Playboy, driving Ferraris, dating hot chicks, doing all the stuff, and ass-kicking, crime-fighting, world's greatest detective Batman. Two-Face was Harvey Dent, upstanding district attorney for the Gotham Police Department. And then one day, all of the work that he did, all the people that he worked on getting into prison, burned half of his face in a accident/attack, depending on what version you're reading, and now descends into his own form of halved personality. The cool thing about Two-Face, though, is that all of his neuroses and his decisions and his, I guess this is the reason why he's insane, all of the things that he makes his mind up upon revolve around his coin. So Batman constantly tries to represent himself with using the best facts, the best technology, the most efficient resources in order to complete his tasks, and holds the responsibility for everything that he does with him at all times. Depending on how nerdy you want to get, everything from whether or not his equipment will cause collateral damage when it shatters around people and if it could potentially kill them. They went through that in Gotham Knight, I believe, which was an animated series of shorts. I think it's Gotham Knight. I hope it's Gotham Knight. An animated series of shorts in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. I believe it's Gotham Knight. I hope it is. Where Batman has this concussion weapon, and when he deploys it in order to subdue whoever it is he's trying to go after, it causes collateral damage and almost kills someone. It's super effective, but he doesn't allow himself that tool because it could cause undue harm to a person and cross a line that he's not willing to cross. So he relies on himself to be better without the better tool. Fritz, stop doing that. He relies on himself to be better without the better tool because he has that standard for himself. Whereas Two-Face takes no personal responsibility for the actions that he does. Everything is the decision of the coin. Everything is 50-50. It could go either way. I think that's the most psychotic. I think random killings and the jovial nature of the Joker's crimes detract from their overall negative impact. And I think the Joker can be played up as too clowny. He can get in his own way when it comes to following through with a plan. Fritz, stop it. I'm trying to record a podcast. Be professional, please. Shit, I lost my spot. Okay. Associates everything with the coin. So nothing is ever Harvey's fault or Two-Face's fault. I mean, the double entendre jokes and the two puns and things that they make do get a little bit old sometimes, but anyway, Two-Face, favorite Batman villain. Now, favorite movie? I wonder if people care about this. I guess I loved Batman Forever when I was younger, just because it was my first not true. My second dip into the Batman pool. The first one was 1989's Batman, by Michael Keaton, with Michael Keaton, done by scary dude Tim Burton's Batman, 1989. Now, you look back on them now, and Tim Burton's Batman is laughable in how comical it was, but it was super serious for the time. It kind of scared me as a kid. I remember the scene where the Joker, spoilers, was taking Vicky Vale up to the top of the clock or the church tower or whatever, and Batman having to climb up there. And I remember being a little kid and watching it and thinking that how terrifying it must have been to be beaten down as much as you are, and now there's this psychotic man that's holding this woman that you care about so much, and you have no idea what he's going to do to her, and you're going to try your best to save her life, but you're already so exhausted, and this guy's crazy and can do anything. So that was, I suppose it represented some of that innocence you have as a child. You feel so helpless all the time because there's grown-ups around. I guess you can hear the horses. But anyway, Batman Forever was fun because I was a kid at the perfect time for that movie to come out. It captured just enough of the imagination. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face was pretty jokey, like pretty cheesy bad. I mean, Jim Carrey's Riddler was cool. I'd like to see the Riddler more as the representation that he has in Gotham, which is brilliant, unbelievably smart, but inherently very, very self-interested and very, very jealous, very, very gets upset easily by people outsmarting him and outwitting him, and thinks that he's smarter than everyone, which, by the way, his representation in Gotham is, I think, easily the best, even better than his representation in the animated series. They built up his character so well in season 1. This is really jumping around, so if you're not caught up on everything Batman, I apologize, but I highly recommend watching the TV show Gotham. I believe that there is a chance that he could put on the suit if they get to the point where they're 5 seasons in, but he's still pretty young at this point, Bruce Wayne that is, and it just explores everything that's going on in Gotham around the time immediately following his parents' death. There's a lot of really good characterization, really good acting. The actor that plays Jim Gordon does an excellent job, and they represent villains well. Some of them do have a bit of a jokey comic attitude to them, but I do enjoy the way the villains come across. That sounded really stupid. Watch Gotham, that's what I'm trying to say. Alright. Where was I? I was saying that you should watch Gotham. Yes, it's really, really good, and the deeper you get into it, the darker and the more interesting the characters get. I believe they just signed on for season 3. Season 2 is about 3/4 of the way through, and there have been some really big changes, so it's been a lot of fun to watch. Now, I wonder how much more in Gotham they're going to start talking about things like Haley's Circus touring around, and if actually the next best show to have as a spin-off after this one would be Bloodhaven, which is where Nightwing fights crime. Nightwing, formerly Robin, also known as Dick Grayson, who toured around with the Flying Graysons, the circus act. So it would be very easy in this series to establish that there was a touring circus group. I can't remember if they did that when they had the carnival in the last season, in the first season. They may have. Either way, the next season option, the best option by far, would be one featuring Dick Grayson instead of Bruce Wayne. Okay, it's getting really windy. This is going to be 15 minutes. Talk to you later. Bye.